Hey guys, Dreddy MTG back at you, bringing you another modern event on Magic Online. Let me just move this so we can see the deck properly. Trying this blue-black idea again, sort of blue-black control. We got Jace Reawakened. If I can zoom in. Moto doesn't want to zoom in for some reason. Okay, Jace Reawakened. Valki, there we go. 2 copies of Valki to try and get this combo off here. Changes I've made to the deck, just for a bit of spice, I wanted to try this. I've added 1 copy of Wheel of Fate. I was looking at the suspend cards that you're able to play in Modern, and I was like, you know, this card could kind of go off with 4 Bowmasters and 3 Sheoldred in the deck. This could be kind of a funny way to kill people. Obviously, you don't really need the the card advantage, and I could be playing like a copy of Narset or something like that, a couple of, Narset Days Undoing, kind of blue-black to maybe push this a bit more, but I just wanted to try this as a little bit of spice for one tournament. So I cut an Archmage's Charm. I think that's about it for the main deck changes. Still 2 Sheoldred's Edict, 3 Preordains, 22 lands, 1 Lorien, so not too much different there. And then in sideboard changes since the last video, added some Fluster Storms, just a Living End is just a nightmare, and added an Engineer Explosives to try and deal with, I was thinking there's more Temur, so killing the 1-drops is nice, and then as well as that, it's good against all the Saga decks, right? And Urza Saga can give these blue-black mid-ranger control decks an issue. It's kind of hard to deal with the go-wide strategies. So cut a Damnation, but this should act as hopefully a cheaper sweeper when it needs to, and we have the 2 dress downs also to deal with Saga tokens. So, be back in a minute for round 1. Okay guys, here we are, round 1 of this Moto Prelim. Our opening hand looks sweet. We're on the draw with no free interaction though. But you can't really say no to this, can you? Opponent starts with Thundering Falls, no Giganta. So what are we thinking this is? Could be just another version of Domain with no Giganta. Could be Murktide. Could be Creativity, possibly. They keep the card on top anyway. I'm going to be pretty happy just shocking for a Watery Grave here for my Preordain. Could play the basic island, but it's whatever. And I'm not really sure if I want either of these cards, to be honest. Let's keep them both. Let's draw the Subtlety. If it is Creativity and their turn 2 is Fetch Renin 6, then I will strongly consider Subtletying this, because there's a possibility that could set them back an awful lot. Sorry about that, guys. A little kerfuffle with the recording. So unfortunately, you guys have missed some of game 1 here. I don't even know if I'm going to record or upload this at this point, to be honest. But just to get you guys updated with the game, they played turn 2 Renin 6. I decided not to Subtlety it. And next turn, I countered their Teferi. They played a Fable. I then stole the Fable token with the Archdruid's Charm, and then played a Bowmasters to stop them using the Fable 2nd chapter to discard. They then killed my Bowmaster with the Renin 6, and have now cast a fairy and killed the Goblin token. So that gets you guys up to date with what you missed, I think, in the recording. So my apologies for that. And it is actually a little bit annoying here that we got to deal with this Teferi, given we have multiple counterspells in our hand. So definitely got to try and kill that. Okay. And opponent just fetches a tap Triome here. And it looks like this guy is going to eat a Leyline Binding. Wow. So not something you see every day. And what's the play here? Probably maybe we're just hard casting a Subtlety. Maybe we're Just Archmage's Charming. I kind of feel like, yeah, just play as Anders Lounge and just cast Subtlety here is probably the play. Just try to get something on the board to attack these Planeswalkers. Not exactly an ideal situation. Here we just have a Teferi +1. Presumably we're going to see a Ren and 6 +1 here as well. Second copy of Teferi here is annoying after I counted the first. Obviously excellent against our deck. And I think not too good against the meta in general, to be honest. Teferi, good against Living End, obviously, but that's about it. And yeah, it's going to stop us from fatal pushing this Omnath with the trigger on the stack, which was my fervent hope and dream for when they played their Omnath, but we unfortunately couldn't get that done. And they get to get their Omnath trigger and Surveil 1. Keeping the card on top, and this game might be one for the dogs, unfortunately. We do get to kill the Omnath here, presuming they don't play some absolute madness like Ephemerate in their deck or something like that. I suppose play the island out. No, there's no real reason not to. Attempt to kill Teferi. And now it's a case of, do I want to kill the Reflection to stop Solitude from being an absolute beating? Or am I happy enough just killing this Omnath to leave them down on mana? I think, first of all, I just need to draw some cards. So I'm going to go ahead and try and do that. They got no mana up for any kind of counterspell they should be running here. We do find the One Ring. I think that's just going to be the play. We could, well, I mean, they could have another Leyline Binding up here. No real reason to suspect they do. But it's so bad too if they just untap and play another Omnath. I'm going to try and just jam the ring here into the one, like 1 mana. This is probably our best opportunity to try and cast it and it not to get Leyline Bindinged. And we have played a land this turn, so I can wait until their upkeep to try and draw my card. Just that's a little trick there they can do. They can Leyline Binding in response to the trigger, and then you don't draw any cards because it didn't have any counters when it left the battlefield. But we do get to draw our card. It is a land, so we won't be able to use our Leyline or our Force of Negation here for free. But still, you know, it's having a ring in play is a powerful thing. We might be seeing the opponent get to play their own one here, which is something we could have stopped if I'd chosen to go for the Fatal Push route instead. But I felt like we need to take a more proactive approach here to try and get back in the game, to be honest. We might be losing our Subtlety here to a Solitude or something like that either. We've seen a Fable. That's fine, to be honest. Probably not stealing this Goblin because we have gone through 2 of our 3 Archmage's Charms. But this is a matchup where that card definitely feels good. Excels, I would say. So we are feeling the pain of cutting 1 here a little bit. Okay, and that's all their plays. So they have 1 million mana left up. Could very well be a Solitude here. I'm going to try and draw cards first before I do anything else. Draw a Valki and a Subtlety. Not exactly ideal draws, but, you know, I even have the mana here to hardcast Subtlety, so... Or, to hardcast Tybalt, Valki's backside as a Planeswalker. So that is actually quite interesting. First, I'm just going to go to combat and try to hit the Ren and 6, see what happens. I think there's a pretty decent chance this is just going to die to a Solitude. But it actually doesn't. And I'm just going to play an island and pass the turn here. I think I'm going to want to force, more than likely, force a negation plus subtlety on their turn. Okay, they're going to try and make a copy of this, so let's just Fatal Push this now, so they're not getting that value at the very least. And in their upkeep, let's cast this Bowmasters, because the second trigger of the Fable is about to go off. And let's hit the Wrenn and 6 for 1. They go to their main phase. See if they choose to use this anyway. They don't. And they're just choosing to get rid of the Wrenn and 6 to get rid of our Bowmasters, so I suppose that indicates they are likely to just play another one. They are. Am I interested in force negationing or subtletying this? I think subtlety is a good shout here. A pretty nice proactive play. Maybe stops them from playing a fetch land for the turn with Omnath. They choose to put this on the bottom. Do they have a third one? That would be kind of a pain. They just go for the Misty now. Okay, so they are going to get both their Omnath triggers. Make a bunch of mana. And they're going to play the One Ring. We don't have a second blue card to counter this, so not much we can do about it. We can hardcast Tybalt next turn and just take it, which is nice. It gives us another backup ring to play as well. And overall, I'm feeling like we're in pretty good shape this game, I would say. Do I want to trade here? I don't think I do. I mean, this indicates that they have another Omnath or they have a removal spell, so let's just jump. I don't want to go to 8 when I have a ring already on 2 counters. Although if they have a Leyline Binding, you'd think they would want to use it on this rather than on a creature. Okay, Jace is not the worst draw. Let's draw some cards. Bunch of counter spells and a Sheoldred. Can't really complain about those. And I think the play here is just try and slam our Sheoldred, right? Very good against the opposing ring. That is 4 mana. Play Sheoldred. Kind of a pain here if it gets. I suppose are they likely really to be able to Solitude this when we have double counterspell? Seems tough. And they're going for this on our Xander's Lounge. Okay. Let's play this. We have a swamp we can go fetch up, or we can get. What do we want to get here? I want to leave up double counterspell. I'm going to get a Steam Vents and I'm going to shock. Let's go to 8. Pass priority. Okay, opponent goes to a big old 22, but hopefully Sheoldred is going to help take that life total down for us now. Flip a second Fable, so now they have the many Fable tokens engine online. If they get to their end step, or to our end step, they can then start making copies that will all untap. They'll be able to attack for a whole bunch. We are just going to try and counter this Teferi. And given that they have 2 cards in hand, we're in pretty good shape here, I think. They go for the draw with the ring. That's fine. They lose some health. And we're going to have to try and play Valki or something like that on our turn. We're going to have to get rid of one of these reflections. Although they can then just make a token in response, right? And they'll still have 2 for the end step. So That is actually quite awkward. But I can dig for another ring and try to play that, because then we're just not dead to a bunch of reflections. They're going for prismatic ending. Okay, I'm going to shock myself again for a watery grave. Go to 5, it's pretty low, and we're going to counter this. And I feel pretty confident doing this, given we have Force Negation with a blue card. And they have almost tapped themselves out now, which is nice. So this will be putting us to 2. Are we scared of Lightning Bolt? No, given I have Force Negation in hand, I'm not. So let's go to 2. The draw step will put us up to 4 anyway, out of Lightning Bolt range. Wasn't thinking about that one. And now let's tap, draw some cards. And this game gets interesting. So draw 4, gain 8. And we have 8 mana. This will be 9 mana total. Valki costs 7. So I'm thinking what I can do is Valki minus on a reflection. They'll go to make a copy. I can resolve that and then have them sacrifice the copy. And then that is going to mean that they got no shenanigans next turn going on. So that is the plan. 6, 7. So play Tybalt. Exile your reflection. There we go. This is going to be resolved. That's going to be exiled. And yeah, this is basically the best I've got here, right? Each opponent sacrifices a creature token. They can now, make another token, but none of them are going to survive past the end step. Yeah, this doesn't do anything, right? Because they have no more mana to use on the end step, right? So we can... Let's just attack with 1 subtlety here. I'm still a little bit scared of somehow dying to, Elesh Norn, Omnath nonsense or something. So yeah, now they gotta sacrifice both of these. I'm so down on time as well because of this technical kerfuffle earlier. Not an ideal situation. But we're in good shape now. We also have a Fable we can play next turn. Obviously, we're going to cast this. We can ditch a Preordain, could ditch a Jace. Either here doesn't really make a big difference. But if we don't force a negation that, we don't force a negation anything with Teferi in play. They are going to draw off the ring. They draw 3 and lose 6, so a little bit tough. This must be the point where they find their Solitude, though, right? At the least. That could kill both of our creatures. That could be a bit of a disaster for us still. Maybe I shouldn't have attacked with anything. I didn't think about double Solitude. Okay, they make some mana. I'm just going to F6 here because I don't have anything. Okay, second Omnath is a good sign for us, I suppose. They're still looking for the Solitude. They lose 2 again. We will gain a bunch of life if they double Solitude us at least, and then be able to redraw a bunch. So that's kind of fine. Maybe I probably should have gotten rid of a Jace instead of the Preordain, given that we have 2 Jaces. A third Omnath. Okay, well, now it's kind of tough for them because now they have to evoke the Solitude and copy it. That also draws them again, puts them down to 6, and we win game 1. Nice. Okay. So, again, sorry about that cut off in the recording, guys, but you only missed half of game 1 at least. So, for sideboarding, what do we want? Dress Down is pretty nice against them. Subtleties are excellent against them. Force and Negation is nice as an option to have against Teferi, but maybe Brazen Borrower is kind of nicer to have. Like, I don't like the fact that we need to have this, you know, at the exact moment that they're going for it. But Force and Negation on the ring is pretty nice as well. I think we can just cut all the Fatal Pushes. Obviously, getting the Fable token is nice, but we do have Archmage's Charm as an answer against that. Bowmasters, you know, it's pretty good. It's not amazing. It's kind of an even trade against Teferi if he played on that turn. I think I definitely want the Subtleties and the Brazen Borrowers, even though this dies to Ren and 6. It's kind of annoying. And, you know, Edicts are fine. They just kill Planeswalkers straight up. I guess I don't want the Dress Downs or the last 2 Force Negations. Just relying on instant speed stuff just seems a little dicey against the Teferi deck. I mean, Fatal Push does kill Omnath as well, which is nice. Maybe we're just taking out all the Force Negations, but like having the option to Force Negation a ring or a Teferi is pretty nice. But does Subtlety just do a good enough job at that? I don't know. I think the big heavy hitters, like Sheldred isn't great against Solitude. We didn't actually see any Solitudes that game, but I mean, this is basically still the win con. We could cut our terrible Wheel of Fate. Maybe just reserve this for being on the draw and playing it because, you know, it doesn't seem too great on the play. Okay, let's do that. I'm not going to do the thing where I cut the bad fun off one off every game, though, I promise. I will leave it in sometimes. Okay, let's leave this in for like a third Force Negation on the draw. I feel like I've let myself down now, you know. I put the funny unplayable card in my deck and then I just immediately cut it game 1, like or first time I sideboard, you know, that's no fun. But I promise it won't be every time. It won't be every time. Okay, opponent goes fetch go. Doesn't look like they're playing Delighted Halfling either, just you know, pretty straight up Planeswalkers and removal and draw spells. Can't really go wrong. Opponent gets a Triumph. And again, okay, so no turn 2 Ren and 6. Let's get our Undercity Sewers. Do a little surveilling. It's hard to see when we would be casting this, right? Because we want to cast one of these Jaces on turn 4, most likely. I think this is just not the best draw. No, it's not the worst. You know, I'm going to keep it because we have Counterspell up next turn and Bowmasters for the next 2 turns. It's like, I think we do actually have... I think we do have a decent shot of getting the game to a point where we're going to be happy to have this in our hand. But maybe this is greedy. You know, we got 3 of them in the deck. I could certainly throw one away. Given that we have 2 Jace, though, as well, we're going to be doing some looting and so forth. Okay, they put an Omnath in the bin, so maybe they're more disciplined than us. They're throwing away 4 drops. Another Surveil, and they just keep that one on top. And we're just going to play out our Bowmasters here, just use our mana. Kind of nice that we get to use our turn 2 mana. They don't. Turn 3, so we still can't cast Jace. I'm going to start off with a Preordain here. Make it look like we're looking for a land. And I really like both these cards, man. Let's keep them both. Let's draw the Subtlety right now, obviously, because we can use 1 Counterspell plus 1 Subtlety. I'm really liking this brew the more I play it, you know? We had the 3-1 prelim result last time, and I was checking, and still, since then, nobody else has really picked up on the Jace thing. People are trying it in a few lists. AnZD has been playing this in sort of just as a value card, I think, with Ancestral Vision in sort of Omnath 4-colory lists. You know, and a few people are still doing the Grixis thing with Flame of Anor, Snapcaster, Tishana's Tidebender and stuff. But no one really seems to be doing this blue-black thing yet. So I'm feeling like a brewer, you know. I'm feeling like I'm doing it. And yeah, just easy counterspell there on the Ren and 6. Not much to talk about. I'm happy just slamming Sheoldred here, right? We can't protect it next turn. Maybe they have Wrath of God or something, but I think it's kind of unusual that you get to put them in a position like this on the draw where you're making them answer something pretty severe on turn 4. And then we just have a hand to action here if they tap out again. Could have just played Jace and left up Counterspell. Arguably a better play. But, you know, Sheoldred just does so much every turn it's in play, so I kind of like making them answer it immediately as fast as possible. They play Elesh Norn. I am going to Subtlety this. Pitching a Jace. That does resolve. And we'll see where they put this. We will have a counterspell up for it next turn as well. They put it on the bottom. Okay. So they tap out, and they're going to be taking a huge hit here from our team. Let's play Jace. Let's loot. And let's ditch Preordain. They concede. All right, let's go. Another W with this deck. We're 1-0 in the prelim. Again, apologies, guys, for the buggy recording during that match, but hopefully you guys still got something out of it, seeing most of game 1 of the postboard game, and we'll see you in game 2. Bye. Okay, guys, here we are for round 2 of the prelim. Our opponent, Indian Pancake on Gigantha. And we are going to be mulliganing to 6 here after winning the die roll. I believe this player usually plays the Domain Zoo deck. I was thinking that even before I saw Gigantha, so that's probably a good sign that that's the case. Multi 6, pretty awkward here. Bunch of 4-drops and fake 2-drops that we don't really want to play on turn 2. If I kept this, I'd probably be forced to play Valki on turn 2. Opponent keeps 7. And it's just hard to see me winning this game with these 6 cards, to be honest. Obviously, Preordain is great, finds us our second land or whatever. But at that point, it's like we can't cast this until turn 4. You know, yeah, we can take a creature out of their hand with Valki, but they kept 7. They likely have multiple threats. We can't deal with a Ragavan. I'm just going to mulligan and go to 5. I think we're more likely with 5. Okay, so we got a 5 with some good ones. So put back both the rings. 4 mana is just a million miles away. We're going to keep our second land on top, and you know, we have multiple pieces of interaction. Can't really ask for more. Pardon me. Normally on when you multiply, you're not exactly happy just one for winning them because they're going to end up with so many more cards in hand than you are. Oh, and it's actually Prowess that we're against, not Domain Zoo. I kind of prefer that, I think, given that we mulled to a bunch of cheap interaction. Opponent sees that we're drawing a swamp. They hit us for 2. Sure. And yeah, let's just kill their Swift Spear and Preordain. It doesn't matter what order we keep these. I suppose they can have another bauble. So I would like them to see Flooded Strand on top of my deck rather than seeing Bowmasters is going to be my next draw. Could have waited on that Fatal Push as well. But it's very unlikely they just cast Slickshot Show Off on turn 2, especially after they used a bauble turn 1. So, you know, they could be running just some Apostle's Blessing or, you know, Spell Pierce or some weird card to save their Swift Spear there. So I think I often play maybe too conservatively in those spots, but I really think there's no difference for me doing it there. And yeah, see, they do just plop the show off here, so it doesn't make any practical difference. And here we get to just play Flooded Strand past the turn. And this is, I think this, you really couldn't ask for a multi-5 to go better against an aggro deck, right? Obviously, we can still get steamrolled here, it's possible, but I think you got to be pretty happy with what's going on here. If our opponent preordains, we are over the moon. And they are going to cast the Show Off. Question is, do we want to counter this or use removal? I'm going to use removal because that lets me use a Surveil land. And yeah, we'll say sure thing, go ahead. And we will try, and I'm not going to be conservative this time, obviously, and fire it off before preordain, but we will try to get max value here. Obviously, Apostle's Blessing doesn't save them here against Sheoldred's Edict because it's not targeting or anything. They go one top, one bottom. Presumably that means they found their third land, although a lot of the time you're happy with 2 lands in this deck, so we could be looking at a grip full of spells. And they're thinking here, so this is kind of interesting. They're saying, do I want to play a second creature out, maybe? And I could have considered the Bowmasters there too, obviously, but I think I'm happy letting them fire off as many spells as possible. Like here, yeah, I want to counter this guy, I think. And I definitely just want to get a basic island. Counter this. And then we can get rid of this guy as well. So, you know, the Bowmaster would have been nice. We would have got a kill on the first Show Off with the trigger. But we would not have been able to, each opponent's sacks a non-token creature. I'm just going to do this now again. I don't know what weird stuff could happen, but can't be bad to get out of the way. But we wouldn't have been able to deal with this second Show Off maybe as easily. Okay, DRC, 4 types, annoying, but so it goes. There's a second preordain. Okay, maybe I am an idiot for not getting the Bowmasters into play. Second preordain makes it look a little silly, maybe. And then Soulscar Mage. Okay. And we are finding Jace Reawakened here. Jace would just kind of die without doing anything is the problem, though, so I'm going to keep him in hand until I find a Valki, I think. They play a Swiftspear. And we could just be dead here. Expressive Iteration is a good one. Mountain goes in the bin from the Surveil. And it's a Bloodstained Mire that gets exiled and played. Okay, so let's try play out Bowmasters. Tag this Soulscar Mage. Guessing they have a spell here, so I'm not going to go all in trying to kill the Soulscar Mage. And they're actually just going to Lava Dart here before blocks. Although, that still gives me a... Oh, they can kill the 1/1 blocker. Does that actually kill me? It actually... No, it's 11 damage, right? Yeah. So we can block here. Block this 3. Doesn't really matter. And that's 6, so they're going to have a nice attack next turn. Yeah, in retrospect, I definitely should have played that Bowmaster when I could. I was kind of thinking too quickly through my turn. So this is going to be 5 damage. This is already 8. So I actually need to cast Jace and loot here and find a Fatal Push is kind of my only out. And we don't find it, so the multi-5 is not successful against the aggro deck, but I didn't think we were doing too badly. Okay, so against Prowess, we can consider Dress Downs. Stern Scoldings are certainly very good. Just 1 mana counter anything in their deck. Subtleties are great. Force Negation's not looking so good except against Expressive Iteration. I could consider that against the draw. Cling to Dust looks pretty good against DRCs and Breach and stuff, just as a way to manage what's going on. And then Engineered Explosives, Damnation, stuff like that looking pretty good as well. Not really a great matchup for the Valki Jace stuff or for the Wheel of Fate. I said I wasn't going to do it every time, but maybe we are boarding this guy out as well. Archmage's Charm looks great. Counterspell is very expensive against them, right? They're going to have Spell Pierce or Flusterstorm or something like that. But I think, yeah, Jace is looking pretty mopey. We can just board out all the Jace Valky stuff. Certainly bring in these 5. That puts us to 58. Brazen Borrower, not so bad either. If they got no protection spells. I actually like Brazen Borrower. It always trades with Show Off, so that's pretty cool. And then we'd be obviously taking out the Wheel of Fate as well here. We can't suspend it with Jace. And then we can bring in, yeah, certainly Engineered Explosives. And are we interested in the Damnation? It's 4 mana. It's very expensive. They have like 16 creatures-ish. I think it's too expensive. I don't know. But we got 4 Subtlety. We're bringing in extra Subtleties. Let's just try it like this. I don't know. Maybe this is wrong. And then, yeah, I am interested in a couple of Force Negations on the draw. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I should have went with the Bowmaster's play when they preordained that time. I did just dismiss it too quickly. But I don't think it would have changed anything, because I don't think I would have had the mana up for the counterspell at a relevant time anyway, because I would have still just tapped out for the Edict the next turn. The sound looks excellent. We get to keep 7. We got Stern Scolding. We got Fatal Push. Just absolutely fantastic. Let's start with a Scalding turn. I likely have to shock myself, but it's possible they don't have a 1-drop. Swift Spear, do we want to Stern Scolding or Fatal Push? I think in general, with these type of decisions, when it comes to a counterspell, you should just use it when you can. Because it's possible you might not have mana up the next time, in which case it'll look silly sitting in your hand. Whereas the Fatal Push, obviously, you can always cast the turn after that. So I like just proactively using the counterspells. Okay, got a shock again, down to 15, not ideal. Maybe I could have considered getting a basic island, but I don't know. I think I'm playing pretty loose, honestly, this tournament. I think, yeah, that probably should have been a basic. Okay, Dragon's Rage Channeler. Second one. Yeah, before the second one comes into play, let's try and fire off a Bowmaster, because if they have Mutagenic here or something, they at least don't get 2 triggers. And that does take out one of the Dragon's Rage Channelers. Not an ideal draw here. I can always like bounce this or something with Borrower, but that seems a little suspect. I think I just attack with the 1/1 token and pass. I don't want to like use my mana during my turn and have shields down when they cast a Show Off. Okay, they're going for Surveil 1. Yeah, that's fine. No counterspell here is awkward, and they put a land in their graveyard. So they're not super interested in a land. Could mean they have one. Could just mean, you know, the texture of their hand means they don't need it. And they exile a Lightning Bolt. So something probably getting bolted this turn. They go to 13. And they are going to bolt our Bowmasters. They put a card on top. They still just got... Oh, now they have a 3/3, yeah. So I like just using 2 mana here when we have 2 mana available. Have them sack. And hitting our 3rd land drop here is pretty great. I'm not going to play around a haste creature here. I think getting in for a damage is probably worthwhile, considering we have multiple ways to interact. Given we have Sheldred in hand, right, it can suddenly turn into a fast clock. So putting them to 12 can matter. We have another iteration here. That's pretty nice, if that's what they got. No, they just plot a Slickshot show off. Okay, so no way to use my mana here unless I'm interested in just playing out Brazen Borrower. Which I could be. I mean, I just get to attack for 4 if I do that. But I think that's just too terrible if they have Lava Dart, right? They just get to kill this. Okay, drawn Engineered Explosives. Not like the best thing in the world, but not the worst either. And I think I'm happy enough just putting E on 2 here. Tap, tap. Blue-black applied. Since we know that they have, the show-off plotted. And I was thinking that might eat a Spell Pierce or something like that. So I would imagine they don't have Spell Pierce if they're letting that resolve. Or maybe they just think they can kill us. Our 1/1 is getting stomped. Do I care about that? I don't think I do. I was thinking, you can always Fatal Push in response to have them not get the 4/3. But, considering, there's likely a hasty show-off coming at us this turn, I thought that was probably a little bit aggressive to kill our own guy with Fatal Push. Sheldred will just blank this 4/3 by the time they play it, hopefully. Okay, and they are preordaining. This card has been great for Modern, I gotta say. I was a little surprised they unbanned it, but I think Blue did need a little bit of help, and it's just like a great power level, I think. Okay, opponent's going face. And they're trying to get us low. All right, let's try and Fatal Push here. I'm not in the business of taking 5 damage. And that means they're not going to be able to... Oh, no, they are. They're going to be able to play their Bone Crusher here. Yeah, but listen, they have a 4/3. We're on 12. It's all good, Okay, it's not all good because we didn't draw our friggin' 4th land, but okay, no big deal. And now it's a thing of, do I want to... Brazen Borrower this Bone Crusher back to their hand? Not really, because then I take 2 from the Bone Crusher and they can just stomp my face for the other 2. As well as, them having access to Stomp to turn off the One Ring. This is what they exile, by the way, with iteration, this Soulscar Mage. So, unfortunately, I think we just have to take the 4 here, because putting this back in their hand just seems like it would be a silly plan. They got 2 Soulscar Mages, so our E on 2 is looking a bit silly here. They go with the Bauble this turn just to draw the card rather than get the triggers, which is quite interesting. Yeah, so we will just bounce this Soulscar Mage. They Bauble us, so we'll soon both get to see what that card is. It was an Archmage's Charm. Archmage's Charm is an interesting one. I suppose, at this point, I'm deciding they just don't have any kind of protection spells or whatever. So I think just stealing their Soulscar Mage on their upkeep is probably the play. We know they have their other one bounce back to hand. 3rd Expressive Iteration, huh? Or is this only the 2nd one? No, third one. Thought I was losing my mind there. I was like, I'm sure that's 3. So yeah, 3rd iteration. They exile a show-off. Okay. And they are casting it. 3 cards in hand, one of which is a Soulscar. Are we just dead? Okay. No, we just take 1. And they shock to leave up Steam Vents and play the Soul Scry Mage we knew about. So is this Spell Pierce? You know, I'm just slamming a Sheoldred, and I'm saying if you got it, you got it. We could always just hold up EE, hold up the Brazen Borrower, but then we're just taking 5 guaranteed. And we're just dead to a spell, right? So, see what you got. Play a D or C. Go to combat. This must have been the draw, obviously, because they wouldn't have shocked themselves. It must be a Spell Pierce in their hand. Okay, gain 2 life. And yeah, we'll just play a land and pass the turn. Just not give them an opportunity for this Spell Pierce. Well, you lose 2. Mishra's Bauble, huh? Okay. It's a spicy draw. And they leave a card on top. That's brutal. What a sweat. Okay, so they go to combat. They're attacking with everything. Of course, we will blow the E. And we got a fetch here. Lava Dart, I suppose, is a pain in the ass for us. Let's get an island. Not that it matters much. Play our Brazen Borrower. And I suppose they left a Bolt on top. So we're taking 2. I don't know what did they leave on top. Are we dead somehow? We're on 5. You got the second Sheoldred. I think they still have that Spell Pierce in hand, because like what else would it have been, right? Yeah. Okay, so we take that game by the skin of our teeth. And yeah, I think that must have been a Spell Pierce. I don't know what else. What else could be going, or a Flusterstorm? I don't know what else could be going on there. I don't think it's Flusterstorm though, because you know they must have been shocking themselves to not die to the, or to be able to counter the ring. Given that they have Bone Crusher and Spell Pierce, yeah, I'm kind of thinking that I want to maybe shave on a few rings. Because it seems like it's not going to help us that much anyway. Maybe Flusterstorm is the answer and not Force of Negation. We can't cut all the rings, right? That would be pretty pretty scary to do. Maybe cut 2 rings for 2 Flusters. How scared am I of, you know, this Bone Crusher Giant stuff, really, when I have the ring? I'm going to cut 3 rings, right? And let's bring in 2 Flusterstorms, 1 Force. Because this also gives us a chance to be able to Fluster on our turn. Like if they're trying to kill Sheoldred or something. I don't know. GG, they say on game 2. That was a good one. And they are playing first. And they show us Gigante again. This is our 1-1 ring that we got going here. Very slow. I mean, EE on 1 on turn 1 is actually a decent play, so I'm going to keep this because it seems like we actually do have sort of multiple on-curve plays here. That makes me wonder if it's Super important to do though, but it might be good just to get it down while they're tapped out, although currently we have no answer to Slick Shot Show Off. You might think this hand is too slow. I think it's just like slightly too good to put away on the draw. I don't know. I'm not going to play EE on one since I drew Flusterstorm. I mean, I don't really think they're going to play Iteration this turn, but there's always the tiniest chance they do, I suppose. They go for a shock into, yeah, plot their show off. All right, let's get our Surveil land into play. Second Surveil land, not really where I want to be. I just want to draw removal, to be honest. Let's put that in the bin. Sheoldred's Edict is a good one. Okay. Let's go with that. And this time I'm not going to screw up, and I will remember to play Bowmasters. Or more strongly consider playing the Bowmasters, if given the opportunity. Yeah, +2/+0, sure. And they're just going to combat. Am I in the business of taking 3? I probably am. Looks like they're considering adding a little bit more damage. They're just going for the 3. Even though that I don't really know, like, okay, I actually would like to counter an Iteration here if they cast Iteration, so I am gonna just take the 3 damage. Okay, they bobble, that's fine. So if they do nothing, yeah, we can just Bowmasters here. And they have a Lava Dart, so that's one of the things they were considering doing. They get to draw. And they saw that we had a Force Negation, which we can't cast. And it's like, am I interested in attacking here? I think this is a turn we can hold back from attacking. Seems sort of like they could have some hasters. And in their upkeep, I'm going to try and have them sacrifice this guy. They're going for the Spell Pierce. I am going to go for the Flusterstorm on that. Same target, same target. And this shows the power of Fluster, because if they have another Spell Pierce here, you know, it would have been good against the Force, but not so good against the Flusterstorm. So we get them to use their mana on their upkeep, as well as take out their creature. And they don't have another 1-drop to play. That makes me think that I should just cast E on 2 here. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Well, actually, it makes me think that we should probably hold up. It makes me think we should attack, first of all, because they don't have a haste creature. And then I'm like, okay, let's actually leave up Force Negation here, because I'm guessing that they have a bunch of expressive iterations in their hand. Since they have no lands and they couldn't cast any creatures. So they know we have the Force Negation, though, but they kind of have to bait. Like, I mean, they can cast a Preordain. I would let a Preordain resolve. And then I suppose I'm wasting my mana. Oh, they drew a land anyway. That's kind of annoying. But no play, and they don't put Giganta in hand. Okay, I'll just attack again. Brazen Borrower was a pretty good draw. And I am actually going to EE here for 2. Now that we have a second blue card to force with. Wouldn't be surprised if this eats a Spell Pierce. That's fine if it does. It doesn't. They could have Brazen Borrower here also. That'd be pretty decent. Flame of Anor, draw 2 cards. Okay. So they have 8 wizards in the deck. They have 4 show-offs and 4 Soulscar mages. Seems like a little bit light to be playing Flame of Anwars. I know some people do like that card in this deck. They get to Surveil. I mean, I suppose... Yeah, I mean, we should just do this. And yeah, I don't think I can let them resolve this, so let's force a negation. They already resolved 1 draw 2, but Expressive is just too good, right? Okay, and they do have another land drop, so they're kind of slowly getting ahead of us here. They have a bunch of counter spells. I am just going to Fatal Push this guy while they're tapped out, get in for a damage. We have EE up. This is... I'm a little bit concerned as to how this game is going. They just have so much mana. You know, even when we hit our 4th land, it's like, okay, you know, we have our 1 copy of the One Ring. 2 Sheoldreds, which isn't ideal. Flame of Honor is a Sheoldred answer, actually. I suppose that is a good reason to bring it in, too. And it kills our EE as well. It's just sort of surprisingly good against blue-black in general. So the Expressive, they exile a Preordain and cast it. And they are just way, way ahead in cards here. 2 on the bottom of Preordain. Play a Soulscar Mage. Okay. Can I please draw land? No. Okay. I can't really complain too much, you know. There's only 22 lands in the deck along with Alorian Revealed, so it's not like I'm playing some sort of, you know, 25, 26 land control deck here. We're seeing a Flame of Anwar. Nice, at least, to have the counterspell for this one. They got 5 cards in hand. They can very easily have a Spell Pierce or something, but so it goes. They don't have one. I'm pretty interested in just saving 2 life here, I think. So we will just block with our 1/1. You know, we draw another Bowmaster. Suddenly we have another 1/1. So I'm maybe a little bit more proactive about blocking than I would be with other creatures. Okay, Bowmasters is a good draw. Watch as we eventually hit our 4th land and then just completely flood after that. And they have 6 cards here, man. It's so many cards. I think I probably will just flash in Bowmasters just to try and do this, but okay, maybe not since they bobbled. Who are they bobbling? Or are they waiting till after combat? They are pretty heads up by the opponent. And yep, let's just take 2 then. Because if I flash this in, they kill it with Lava Dart, you know. Okay, looks like we're going to be taking a decent amount of damage here. Okay, we go to 10. They plot a show off, and they didn't bobble, and I still just have to use this mana, right? It's when we're so mana starved, I can't just wait, especially when they just have a Lava Dart, you know, in the graveyard to kill the Bowmaster. Yeah, they're just using it now anyway. Oh, they used 1 from hand, actually, not from the graveyard, so they have 2 in the graveyard now. But at least that didn't happen during combat, right? It would have been an extra damage here. And now we have another 1/1 blocker that they can also just Lava Dart. Okay, they bobble us now, see what we're drawing. It's a fucking Stern Scolding, apologies for cursing, but we're not in the best shape here in terms of winning the game. Do they have this plotted? I think they do, right? No, they don't. They don't have anything plotted. Okay. Oh, they did. Sorry, they did. It's Moto doesn't show. Oh, why did I let it resolve? I'm an idiot. Oh, I was talking. Okay, well, we get to use this anyway. That's fine. I'm going to pretend I'm a genius and I was waiting on this EE. But yeah, I probably would have just countered it. Okay. Will they let us block? Pretty smart, actually, of them afterwards to use the DRC even as bait for to get in with the Swift Spear. Yeah, +2. Here we go. And good shot. We're dead here, right? Even after killing the show off. This is 4 damage, 7 damage. This is going to be 12 damage. All right, GG's to our opponent. Not my best played game ever, and it's a pretty tough matchup. But we did our best. So see you guys in round 3. Yeah, and there it is, icing on the cake. Bam! Alright guys, back with round 3 of this prelim. We're on the play against Kahira the Orphan Guard. Yeah, that looks pretty nice against a Kahira deck. Double Bowmasters is going to be annoying. Can't beat a good old counterspell. Valki obviously doesn't seem like it's going to be that good, but it is our little sneaky combo card to play out with Jace Reawakened, so can't complain about it too much. We of course did decide to put it in our deck. When you draw a bad card like this, you have to say, well, whose fault is it that this is in the deck? It's mine. Okay, they start with a Jeskai Triome. We're going to Surveil, and we are just going to put this land in the bin. We have a decent number of lands at the moment. And just go with a Delta and pass the turn. Don't imagine I'll need to fetch a Steam Vents here, although maybe that should be the play considering we have Valki in hand. Maybe I should be considering that as a possibility for the long game. And our life total is not really going to matter so much against a Kahira deck, I imagine. So I actually am going to fetch Steam Vents here and just play out our Bowmasters. Omnath matchup was close in round 1. I think I like our matchup against Omnath decks in general. I think Tibalt is just like kind of goes over the top of what they're trying to do, right? And hardcasting Tibalt is going to be, you know, realistic in a lot of games. Exiling their copy of the One Ring to get, which then you can play as an extra copy of your own ring, is pretty wild in these sort of One Ring mirrors. Let's just play our Undercity Sewers here. And 5th land drop. Don't really need it. Let's throw it away. Try to draw a little bit more action. Wouldn't hate drawing a land here. It would be fine, but I think we can do better. And the opponent is going to go Leyline Binding on our Bowmaster. That's fine by me. I'll just play another one on their turn. A little bit surprised that they're happy to do that. Maybe they just have a Teferi they want to play this turn. But they don't. They're just passing the turn. So we'll just run out the second Bowmasters, use our mana. And if they're happy to use Leyline Bindings on Bowmasters, that's pretty great, because it means our Sheoldred is likely to survive. Okay, they counter that second Bowmasters, and they just get a blue-white Surveil land. They put a Prismatic Ending in the bin. Okay, so maybe they just got a ton of removal here. Maybe playing out Bowmasters isn't gonna, or playing out Sheoldred isn't gonna turn out too well for us here. I don't know. But we got nothing better to do this turn anyway, so we may as well just run it out. Did draw a land, so very happy I threw away the Misty Rainforest. We would be pretty flooded otherwise. I mean, I suppose I would have shuffled and all that, but you know what I mean. This is Supreme Verdict. Prismatic Ending. Wow, okay, so 4 colors of Prismatic Ending on Sheoldred. At least that taps them out, and their life total has dipped pretty low here early game already. Fatal Push, not exactly what you want to see, obviously. Kind of tempted to just play out Valki here and just try to nab an Omnath from their hand or something like that. Is that too wild? Are we thinking they're playing Omnath? Is this just Narset deck? I think it's more likely that this is probably just a blue-white Narset list. So I think we're better off just trying to draw our Jace and get the Tibalt out. We're also not a million miles away from just casting Tibalt, so yeah, Watery Grave is perfectly fine by me. And this little Orc Army token is gonna keep getting in for the beats. The little 1/1 that could. Not too much going on from our opponent's side of the battlefield. Probably just getting another Surveil land. And they're thinking, yeah, they just get another Meticulous Archive. Supreme Verdict going in the bin. So maybe they do already have one of those, or they're just thinking, you know, this isn't the type of deck they're likely to need it against. They're just going to rely on the single target removal. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a hard cast Solitude now this turn. Okay, let's go to combat. Just attack. It's an argument for casting Preordained first, you know. If we find another Bowmasters, it would be nice to have that up during combat in case of the Solitude. Okay, and I'm going to keep both of these cards. I'm going to just draw the land and have the One Ring on top, just play the land and not fetch, because I want to play this One Ring next turn with Counterspell backup anyway. They do play a Solitude. Do I really care about this? I mean, I suppose so. Their life total's pretty low. So this actually does represent like like a little bit of pressure at least. And they do just get a Hallowed Fountain this time, okay. Oh no, sorry, they got a Meticulous Archive and they put a Delta in their graveyard. Sorry, I'm hallucinating there or something. Okay, Lorien Revealed. Kind of a pain for them, I imagine, to Island Cycle that when they have so much mana to just cast it. Okay, they're getting Watery Grave, so again, maybe just for casting Prismatic Ending or something like that. I don't know. And I don't want to crack my fetch here. I would like to just draw my ring. And yeah, we don't have Counterspell now, though, is the thing to actually do anything with it. But I'm still just going to try and cast it. If it eats a Counterspell, that's fine. That resolves, and I'm not going to try and draw the card just yet in case of Leyline Binding. So let's just attack for 1, see what happens. Okay, they go with a Subtlety. And what this means is I can... Okay, let's let the trigger resolve, I suppose. No reason not to. And they actually don't have mana up anymore, so what I can do here is go... Well, let's actually get a Swamp, because I might need the mana. And then, so having cracked the fetch, we can now Fatal Push their Subtlety. Didn't think I would find a use for this card, to be honest, in this matchup. Okay, let's also just draw our card now. And we draw a Counterspell. That's nice. So these Bowmasters, you can see the power of these over the course of the game. They've really put a lot of pressure on the opponent. Having to use a Leyline Binding, a Counterspell, and still eventually going down to 4 life just off the back of these. I am going to counter this Narset because this card is obviously a pain in the ass when we have the One Ring in play. If they have another one, so be it. And Supreme Verdict on a 1/1 token. You love to see it, folks. So we get to untap, opponent's on 4, let's draw some cards with our ring. And I mean, I can just jam Tibalt here. And plus, that's pretty good value, right? Or I can Jace and play it next turn. I think given that they're tapped out, I just want to jam it. They could have Force, no, they only have 1 card, so they can't have Force Negation. So yeah, let's just jam Tibalt. Plus, and they scoop. We hit a Watery Grave and a Counterspell, so would have had some nice value off that Tibalt. Okay, going into game 2, we should be able to sideboard pretty nicely here. Subtleties are pretty nice. Force negations are nice. Brazen Borrowers. Flusterstorms. Stern Scoldings. Stern Scolding doesn't actually hit Subtlety, but it does hit Solitude, which is nice. Obviously take out our Fatal Pushes, even though they did something that game at least. And yeah, what else will we like to take out? Presumably they have other stuff apart from Narset. I'd imagine we'll see Teferi and stuff like that. This Wheel of Fate business, probably not good against the Narset deck. It makes me really sad, but I think this is in fact going to get sideboarded out again. I know I promised I wasn't going to do it every time, but it looks like we may have to. I mean, you guys have to give me this one, right? It looks pretty bad. Maybe the Force Negations aren't where we want to be. Maybe the Flusterstorms actually aren't where we want to be. They have a lot of Planeswalkers. They have creatures. This doesn't work against Supreme Verdict if that's something we want to consider countering. Stern Scolding, I mean, it's only really hitting Solitude now that I think about it. It doesn't seem like they're running Bowmasters or anything like that. So yeah, I think just 3 Force Negations are probably the plays, as well as 2 Subtleties and 2 Brazen Borrowers. E doesn't do much. Cling to Dust obviously doesn't do much. Yeah, I think this is the play, just bring in Force Negations. And yeah, against the Narset deck on the draw, I just don't think I can keep Wheel of Fate in, guys. I'm sorry. This is going to be one where I have this in the YouTube thumbnail or whatever, but we maybe don't draw or cast the spell the entire prelim. I'm sorry if I clickbait you guys like that. And this hand looks perfectly reasonable on the draw. Okay, and we'll just be able to get our mana set up here. I'm going to shock Steam Vents here and Preordain. I want to leave my mana up on turn 2. Both these cards look great. Archmage's Charm and Counterspell. Put Archmage's Charm on top. But what I'm thinking is I probably want to cast Bowmasters. Leave Bowmasters up next turn, and then after that, if they cast Narset, then Preordain is just a dead card in our hand. So it doesn't seem like a great idea to leave it for later. Opponent just goes fetch pass, we'll do the same. And they get their Surveil land. Again, we'll likely be doing the same. I could have considered casting a Bowmasters there, but I don't think we really need to do that. I'm happy enough just countering a Narset or something like that here. It is a Teferi. I will be countering that, getting Watery Grave. Again, you got to counter the Teferis, or the counter spells are just going to be totally dead in your hands, right? So, kind of a forced play. You can also consider casting Bowmasters, right? And if they bounce it, you get to kill it with the token, but I don't like that so much. Here, I like playing the Undercity Sewers. Second Bowmaster, so I kind of like having 2 Bowmasters. Actually, is that wild? I don't know. My thinking here is that next turn I'm going to want to play Jace and have 2 mana up, so I want to play my tap land this turn. They go float a mana, sack Floated Strand. Okay, so they're pretty excited to play whatever spell this is. And is it going to be a big one? It is the One Ring. And yep, let's just get our Bowmasters into play before that resolves, so we're guaranteed to get our army trigger. Yep, they get their protection. They draw their card. And we will ping our army token, which then becomes a 2/2, since we can't target them because they have protection. Okay, first things first, let's cast Jace. Jace is going to get subtletied here, it looks like. That's interesting. I'm kind of happy enough to redraw it next turn, right? So they evoke. This resolves. And yeah, I'm happy to put this on top of my deck. And then while they're tapped out, I'm just going to petty theft their One Ring back to their hand. So if they like, they can just recast it next turn. We'll recast our Jace. And, you know, everybody's happy. Yep, that is what they go for. They get to draw their card. We get to make our army token bigger. Again, just ping our token for 1. And they get to advance their mana, which is nice for them, obviously. And we will try and recast this Jace. See if they have another subtlety or a force or whatever. We can beat Spell Pierce. I doubt this deck plays Spell Pierce, but we'll see what happens. Could be a Spell Snare, that would be spicy. Again, I don't think they already play narrow threats like that. Okay, and they're evoking with Counterspell this time. Last time it was Stern Scolding. And I mean, this seems kind of funny, but I'm kind of think I'm just going to do the same play again, right? Just put it on top and bounce their ring. Yeah, again, put this on top. And I was thinking I could wait till they crack the fetch here, but really there's no point because if they decide not to crack the fetch, I just lose out because they get to draw extra cards. So I should just do this right now. Okay, they're choosing to fetch, and they get Zagoth Triome. So they still don't have red, so no 1 mana Leyline Binding at the moment. And you might think this is kind of spinning our wheels and helping them out, but 1, I don't really have a better play, and 2, at least is making our Bowmaster's token bigger, and it's not like they can Supreme Verdict while recasting the ring on the same turn here, so it could be like a little bit stressful for them at least. And we are going to untap here with a counterspell if they can't deal with the army token. They do get to draw a bunch of cards here since they drew and played Manamo. They can untap their ring. So yeah, certainly on the play with the turn 4 ring, it's, you know, the only thing here is I'm like, okay, at least we're kind of annoying them a little bit. And this time I'm just going to pass the turn with Archmage's Charm up. Hopefully, you know, I mean, I think that's just a better idea probably than trying to recast the Jace again. We have gone through 2 subtleties, which is nice. And again, they still have protection, so they draw cards. We make our army bigger. And we'll see what happens when they finally untap with a ring. So they're losing 2 life. And they kind of have to deal with this Bowmasters now at this point. So I would be pretty happy to protect it as well. Okay, they're drawing 3 cards, taking 3. Yield to these triggers. And look at the size of this lad, in absolute awe of this unit. Kind of got that backwards, but you know, keeping it fresh. Looks like we are seeing a verdict or something. Okay, we're seeing a second ring. Feels like they have a counterspell here, right? So if we counter this, they use their counterspell, and then they don't actually have to go to discard, and then they get to draw on our turn with the ring. If I just let it resolve, they have to go to discard, and they lose a card, but they do have to, but then they have the counterspell available on our turn, so we don't get to resolve, like Jace, for example. So I think I am going to just try and counter this and just make them use the counterspell. I think they've been kind of making it pretty clear that they have counterspell. They don't have counterspell. I was wrong. Okay. I'm quite surprised at that. Our opponent takes a moment. Looks like they might be a little bit surprised as well. Or maybe they're just taking a big old bite of a sandwich. Who knows? They play Flooded Strand and Fetch. So are we just seeing a prismatic ending here? They had to have known we had a counterspell, right? Considering we didn't play out Jace. Like, it should have been pretty telegraphed that we had Force Negation or Archmage's Charm. Okay, they go with the Preordain here. This is going to trigger Bowmasters again, so I guess they're just looking for a Solitude or for a Prismatic ending to just not die to this enormous army token. Yeah, I think they did find it because they were like thinking about letting this resolve. Okay, and they have to use this to kill the token. So again, Bowmaster's just doing a massive amount of work here in this kind of weird game where we bounce their ring multiple times. And this is the first turn in a long time where they don't have protection, funnily enough as well. We will play Jace here, and, you know, I suppose I'm going to loot. I don't mind. Let's actually plot this Sheoldred's Edict. I think that's kind of nice to do, actually, as weird as that kind of is. But it's like I'm most likely just going to be casting Counterspell anyway, right? And Sheoldred's Edict is just a good card I don't want to lose, so looting is most likely just going to be drawing and putting a card in the bin. So I think plotting is a little bit better, even though it makes it sorcery speed only. We are still pretty tight on lands, so being able to cast it for free, I think, will be enough upside to make that better than looting with the Jace. It's an interesting one, if you guys want to let me know what you think. If anyone's still watching this video after my awful plays earlier, geez, this has been a rough one. Okay, opponent's going to go to 1 here. They're just trying to find a way out of the situation with the ring, but it might be the case that Hero Bowmasters is just going to get it done here against the blue-white deck. Man, this deck is so much fun, honestly. I think this is shaping up to be what I want to play in Amsterdam. Okay, they play a Teferi, and of course, we're kind of forced to counter it. They got 9 cards in hand, so I can't imagine our Bowmaster is going to live here. But it's a weird one, right? Because okay, they counter back. We got nothing going on. And they can bounce something, but that doesn't really help them out. So they still got to cleanly get rid of the Bowmasters and the token. Like, if they bounce the token, it just kills them with the ping. If they bounce the Bowmasters, I still just have a token. And I can replay the Bowmasters and kill them next turn, right? So, still a tough spot for the opponent. They bounce the Bowmasters. And they also are close to dying to their own ring. So, kind of just desperation searching here from the opponent. I think the ring has spelled their doom, unfortunately. The evil dark forces of Sauron have taken their toll, and we win this match 2-0 against Narset Control. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. I thought that was a really fun match. Bowmaster is just unbelievable 2-drop, as always, really showing its power there. Some matchups is kind of a blank, but some matchups just dominates the game, as it did 2 games in a row there. So, see you guys in round 4? Yes, see you guys in round 4. Hey guys, welcome back for round 4 of this modern prelim. We're on the draw against Chris MTG77. Not too familiar with this player. We got the 1-lander, but we do have the Lorien revealed, so essentially a 2-lander here. Double Fatal Push and Valki. Double One Ring. So, no companion from the opponent. This is like fine if they're like a small creature deck. Double One Ring, pretty awkward, but I guess it's pretty good if they... Well, I was going to say that's pretty good if they have a Thoughtseize, but they're probably just taking our Lorien revealed if they're a Thoughtseize deck, right? I think this is just like a pretty crappy hand. Like Valki doesn't do much on its own. Double One Ring is kind of a multi-6, and the Lorien reveal does make you really susceptible to Thoughtseize. But that said, on the draw, double Fatal Push. I'm going to keep it. I think this is like very borderline, this hand. This is kind of an interesting one to keep or mull. Maybe for a little Twitter problem for people. Okay, basic Forest Grazer. Presumably we're facing Amulet Titan here. And our hand is not looking so good there. Okay, maybe not. They play Halimar Depths. They get to look at the top 3 cards, put them back in any order. So maybe this is some kind of like hideaway combo deck. I have no idea what I'm facing here, to be honest. I'm going to be cheeky and check any possible deck that could be playing Halimar Depths, because this is not one that you see often. No results for the last month on MTG Goldfish for Halimar Depths, so totally in the dark here what I'm playing against. I really have no idea. Gotta be some kind of all-in combo deck, I guess, right? It's this is very strange. I think it must be like I don't know, what would it be with Grazer too? It's got to be some kind of combo deck anyway, so I think our Fatal Pushes are looking pretty bad here. Okay. So I think ideally I need to draw a counterspell. So we're going to be looking for that one. Urza's Saga, okay. I mean, I suppose it still could be Amulet. There's a map. Amulet, okay, it's just Amulet with a Halimar Depths in it. Very strange stuff. They're down to 2 cards. I mean, and they played both of these on turn 2. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to keep a Subtlety just because it'll maybe randomly win the game if they can't pay for Pact. But I do have to use the Lorien Revealed here and find a 3rd land. I mean, this is pretty good, though. It's not a 3rd land. But it does let us Tibalt in 2 turns' time. I guess I'm going to keep this. I don't know. This game is pretty scuffed, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't really have any idea what's going on. So I'm going to have a blue card next turn. Okay, I mean, that is something I can Fatal Push, but I don't have a way to turn on Revolt. Okay, they play Slayer Stronghold. And yeah, we have Jace. I'm just going to have to go to discard here, I guess. Go to discard and lose a Fatal Push. I just hope that next turn having Tibalt is good enough. Definitely scuffed opening hand, scuffed game. I don't really have any excuses for this one. This is just some weird modern gameplay. You get one of these matches every once in a while. Okay, and opponent gets a 2nd Amulet. They map for presumably a bounce land. We haven't seen one yet. We are dead to a Titan here with double Amulet play. They do bounce land. This was their 1st land drop of the turn. One nice thing is if I do Subtlety a Titan, that means I can then Fatal Push their Dryad as well. So it's possible that we just randomly get the win here, you know? Okay, they're making a red with this, so that indicates they want to use Slayer Stronghold. It looks like they are going... I think they're going for the win this turn. Hopefully they just have to use Summoner's Pact to do it, though, you know? That would be ideal. They're thinking. Okay, bounce trigger resolves. They bounce the bounce land. And they just go for giving the Grazer Vigilance and Haste. Okay. Attack with both. Sure. Okay, and they only used one land drop too. They didn't want to replay a land, so presumably only the bounce land in hand. No Titan, no Pact. Kind of a strange one. And here we are just gonna slam our Jace. Plot. Put our Valki under that. And hold Subtlety up for this turn, so we're alive just by the skin of our teeth here, I think. Okay, they replay the Growth Chamber. Bunch of mana now available, of course. Bounce the bounce land, 4 mana floating. Cast the One Ring, okay. Sure thing. And replay bounce land. Okay, 4 more mana. Looks like they are returning it again. Yeah, so same Growth Chamber goes back to their hand. Again, 4 mana floating. They do go for a prime time, so we will Subtlety this bad boy. Stopping ourselves from dying seems like a pretty good play. Presumably they just put this back on top, though. Yep, on top of the deck. This means they can't actually kill our Jace, which is nice. And we're going to have a Tumult, but we're going to have 2 lands in play here, so that's a funny one, okay. Let's plot our Wheel of Fate. So it's only showing up in the last round here, of course, but we can do that. We're going to cast Tumult. And I can actually plus here and take their Titan, which is kind of nice. And then there is, so we now have the prime time that they put on top of their deck. And I could also play another Jace, but which maybe I should do. Maybe I should just look for a land, play another Jace. I think I actually should. This is like a pretty ridiculous game. So let's keep this Jace and let's use this one to loot. We don't find a land, so I'll just throw away a One Ring and pass the turn. This game is certainly cracking me up. We're sadly still pretty far away from using our Sheldred here with our Wheel of Fate combo. If I get to put both of these in play, that will kill them, but I don't think it's looking good for us here, guys, I'll be honest. The one time we actually draw the Wheel of Fate and get to plot it with Jace, and yeah, it's not looking so good. Maybe not worth it. They do have a second prime time here as well. This is probably just going to kill us with the double Titan. Could have minused on an Amulet or on the One Ring or something, or on the Dryad, but realistically it doesn't really make much difference. I think this game was pretty much done for. But listen, post board, we'll get him. We'll get him. We'll just have a bunch of subtleties, and they'll never get one of these big old 6/6s into play. Okay, so what do they go for? They go for Growth Chamber, Mirror Pool. I'm just going to F6 here. Now, earlier in the day, I did play an event where my opponent did this with 3 amulets in play while I was tapped out, and they managed to somehow screw up their sequencing and lose the game. Just cast 2 pacts, managed to just not attack me with any Titans and just lose to their pacts. So, and I've certainly done the same, which is why I don't scoop in these spots all the time. Okay, but we are just going to be attacked from Slayer Stronghold and Died of Valakut here, so no reason to waste time. And pretty amusing game 1, even if it didn't go our way. So, Dress down, borrowers, don't really want force negations. I kind of like shaving on forces rather than adding extras, to be honest. EE on one can kill Amulet, but that's not really looking too interesting either, is it? It's one of our few ways to deal with the Amulets, though. Fatal Push, I mean, is killing Dryad, but that's about it. It's a pretty important thing to be able to kill, but, you know, I don't think that's so ideal. So I think initially we're looking at cutting like at least one force negation and like 3 pushes. Definitely bring in subtleties. Definitely bring in dress downs. One thing to remember with dress down is that if there's a Dryad of the Elysian Grove in play and you cast dress down, their lands actually keep all the land types for the turn, despite the fact that the Dryad has lost all its abilities because of the layers system. The Dryad is granting the lands the layers on an earlier layer, and this causes the creature to lose the abilities. So the lands actually keep all their land types. So very important to know if you're playing against Dryad with a dress down in your deck, you can still just die to a Valakut or something like that. So don't think you're getting smart by letting them fetch double Valakut and then you're going to dress down them. It doesn't work. So that would bring us to 60 cards. You know, Brazen Borrowers, yeah, kind of interesting as well. E, kind of interesting as well. Cut the last Force Negation. Maybe for an E. I don't think E is that good though. It's like Amulet is kind of the only target. No, I suppose they have tokens as well, right? They have Saga tokens, so I kind of like bringing that in. And we have Dress Down as well to deal with those. Cut the last Fatal Push for a Brazen Borrower. I think I like that. It's just like a little bit more interactive against this deck. And then, I mean, Sheoldreds aren't that good, but listen, we need to win the game fast. And I'm not going to board out my Wheel of Fate. I told you guys it's not going to happen every round. One round I'm keeping in this nonsense Wheel of Fate. This hand is just too slow. Doesn't really do anything against them. Kind of mulligan at 5 lands is just too many. This hand looks much better. Obviously, Bowmasters could have been a cut against them as well. Not really an ideal land to keep. But I think the other cards we cut are probably better cuts. I can consider cutting these for game 3, though. They obviously just don't do very much. They're good against the One Ring, and that's about it. So the Halimar Depths, again, I presume this is just one copy, but this is wild to me that... Why is this in the deck? This is just... I mean, it's a tapped blue source, right? So, like, it untaps with Amulet, but... I can't imagine this effect is strong enough to warrant a slot in Amulet. Like, it's these Amulet players can't even fit their deck to 60 cards most of the time, you know? I can't imagine Halimar Depths is deserving of a slot. Okay, let's just go get our Undercity Sewers, have a look at the top of our deck. It's an Otawara. Don't love it. Very slow. We do need to hit our land drops, but it's kind of a shitty land. Excuse my language. I suppose there's going to be video with 18 plus or whatever on the rating. I'm going to throw this away. I think we need to find something with a little more gasolina than that. Okay, going to shock in our Steam Vents here, have Counterspell up, and it will let us bring in a Bowmasters if we got nothing else to do. And we're happy, of course, next turn, taking a top land to scry with Mycosynth Gardens. I really can't get over this Halimar Depths. This will definitely be the first time I've lost to this card. Don't really care about countering this, right? Our hand is not fast. They'll eventually just make all these land drops anyway, so seems like it would be a total waste to counter a Grazer. They put the Halimar Depths back in their hand. So much value, so much value. And we ping them for 1, and we're going to get in for 1 next turn. Okay, draw a Sheoldred. And another Bowmasters. Again, it's good if they have the One Ring, but it's not really good against anything else. So I'm going to dump this. I'm just going to look for the 4th land for all these 4-mana spells. And let's see what happens here. I'm thinking, yeah, we'll definitely attempt to counter an Amulet. They could have Veil of Summer here or something, of course. They don't. And bring back in the Halimar Depths. Interesting that they tapped the Gardens to cast the Amulet, rather than leaving up the ability to copy it if it resolved. So they probably have Dryad in hand, but again, they could have used the white. They would have, well, I guess then they would have tapped it either way. So yeah, I imagine they have Dryad of the Elysian Grove in play. That's got to be, or in hand rather. That's got to be the reasoning for that, I think. And again, slam in for 1 with our 1/1. Miss our 4th land drop. No doubt striking fear into our opponent. And they play Growth Chamber, 2nd bounce land here. What is going on? Okay, they're returning Mycosynth Gardens. And here is the Dryad, which I think I probably just want to counter. Maybe I want to subtlety it. No, I just want to keep my subtleties for Titans. So let's just use Counterspell on this, or Archmage's Charm rather. And okay, that is not a 4th land drop, unfortunately. Getting the feeling that maybe I should add another land to this deck, maybe instead of Modern Superstar Wheel of Fate, maybe just a 23rd land would hit the spot nicely, who knows? Telario S, transmuting. Getting Urza Saga, play Saga, cool. So this is a pretty hard plan for the blue-black deck to deal with, just making some tokens. If we find a Preordain, may as well use the Steam Vents, we don't need red mana. And I would like both of these cards, but I suppose one will do. Yeah, I think we just gotta hit our land drop. Kind of awkward to have that Archmage's Charm on top of the deck, but obviously we wouldn't have had the mana to cast it, so I could have kept it to pitch it to Subtlety over the other Subtlety. But what I'm thinking is next turn I might just slam the One Ring and draw a land. And then it would be nice to be hitting, a 5th land drop. Rather than a 4th land drop, which I'd be playing the ring. Okay, so our opponent's going to get to make some tokens there. They're going to have a big old army here. And is my plan to just slam Sheoldred here before I even play the ring? Or do we just need to get the ring in play? I think I just need to get the ring in play. Just get this going. Here we go. Attempt to draw. Tear Asunder, man. Okay, so that's brutal. I was thinking there was nothing really to play around there and I could just go for hitting my land drop, but they got the exile effect on the ring. I suppose it would have gotten my Sheoldred though, either way. Oh no, they don't have black mana. Of course, kicker is 1 black to kill creatures. Alright. Well, that's not one I was really thinking about, but I mean, I was going to say I think this is probably a 1-of on the board, but given our opponent seems to have a little bit of a rogue list, maybe that's presumptive. They could have any number of spicy cards in the deck. Alright, opponent makes another construct. Probably finds an amulet, yeah. Given that was going off, I could have kept Archmage's Charm up and just looking to steal an amulet. Given that they may want to play Mycosynth Gardens here and try to copy it, that would have been kind of a blowout. But given that they're just still making an army of constructs here, I felt like I needed to do something more proactive. Okay, opponent explores, and we'll just hit him in the face. Why not? Could have pinged a construct for 1 to dissuade them attacking me. Okay, they play a bounce land, they bounce Growth Chamber. They replay the Growth Chamber. And here's a Titan. So let's subtlety that bad boy. And presumably we're going to see this put on top. I'm a little scared if not. Yeah, it does get put on top. Okay, and they don't attack anyway, so we didn't need to worry about that, it looks like. And man, I think I gotta just hold up subtlety again here, right? And just hope they're running out of bounce lands. We do know they still have one bounce land in hand. And they're gonna have double Amulet here, but hopefully after this point they're maybe running out of gas. They can always just bounce a bounce land, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but I mean, we're just dead if we let Titan resolve, right? So that's a simpler way of putting it. Okay, so opponent is thinking. They did use mana to make another construct, so they do have a pretty enormous army now. Dress down wouldn't be a bad draw. After we presumably deal with this Titan, yeah, here comes the Sanctuary. Double untap. This game would look a little bit different if we'd had that Sheldred in play turn 4, but I don't regret playing the ring. I think getting that going faster was a perfectly fine play. And they're actually casting the One Ring here over a Titan, so that's fine. Playing around the next subtlety, huh? And we will be taking 6 here. Obviously, we want to keep our Bowmasters alive. And I'm kind of thinking, do I need to just play out this subtlety and just let them resolve a Titan? But that like has to just kill me, right? So I have to just hope I draw a blue card, which we don't. Is there any way to not die here? Bowmasters makes 2 blockers, but they resolve Titan. If we hold up subtlety, that's probably the only way. If we play Sheldred, we ding them a little bit, but then we're just dead to the Titan. Yep, I think holding up subtlety is the only way to not die. Just hope they go all out for the Titan pre-combat. We get to subtlety it, and then we get to chump in combat. I don't really foresee it working, but I think it has the highest chance of success. They actually just don't draw with the ring at all, so they're playing it super safe here. Here is this superstar Halimar that's just fixing the top of their deck over and over again. Amazing stuff. Okay, and they sort out the top of their deck. And get to double untap it with the Amulet, of course. And yeah, here they go. They cast Titan, so we get to subtlety it again. There we are. And yeah, we get to double jump and live for another untap step. So here we go. Take 6. And they do draw with the ring now. Undercity Sewers is not going to do it, I'm afraid, for us. Let's take a look, though. And it is just a land, and that's going to be GG. We just can't beat the Construct Onslaught coming at us from our opponent. And that's going to be a 2-2 in the prelim. Pity we couldn't clinch the 3-1 again. The Wheel of Fate did not really live up to, should I even say expectations? I don't know if that's even the right word, but it was fun either way. I think I really enjoy playing this deck. I'm going to try and tune it a little bit more, and maybe some slightly more serious cards will hit the list next time. So thanks for watching, guys.